just loading up.
Oh yeah, I just had it. Meeting is now streaming live on Facebook. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. It should be on in a second. I think it's just loading the page. Unless
Okay.
we're on. I'll just double check it's working okay.
Okay.
And if it is, we make a start. Yes, it is all working okay. As far as I can
Yes.
see. Perfect. So, brilliant. So before we would do this podcast live as a video as well on the Facebook page as well, rather because if I'm honest, it saves me time loading it up. So I'm here with Katie. Katie does a lot of our stretch sessions.
Yeah.
I could call them yoga, cardio sessions as well. And I'm just going to let Katie introduce herself a bit because it will make a bit more sense of the topics we're discussing. Because the other day, Katie wrote a blog about feeling fat, and a lot of people resonated with it. And although they might be on a different journey, like I think going over this topic is really helpful, especially with the recent documentary, which we'll touch on as well, about the restaurant, which if you didn't see, I think it was the BBC actually. It was a BBC documentary where
yes, it was.
They looked at a restaurant. They got people to eat meals, etc. Then people in the other room were burning off in terms of exercise what those people had ate. And we want to kind of talk about that from a relationship with food point of view, and also what you can kind of take from that. So yeah, over to you, Katie. Yeah, so if you could just introduce.
So you just want me to introduce myself a little bit, basically?
Yeah, just so people get a good background of where we're coming from.
Yes. So if you don't know me already from... Sure, yeah. So if you don't know me already, I work with Matt teaching, and I am coming from a background of recovering from anorexia. And I've probably been in recovery, like full recovery, for about a year and a half now. So actually not that long. But I'm deemed now a healthy weight and everything's functioning as it should be. But I still have the same overwhelming thoughts and feelings around feeling fat, or but obviously I'm coming at it from a different way. So I'm actively gaining weight. That was always my goal, to survive. And yet you have women that are losing weight, yet we all are feeling and thinking the same things. So I wrote a post for you that was basically said, I feel fat. And then I was just like, is that even a feeling, really? Can you feel fat? And it just resonated with people, because how many times do you say to yourself or say to someone, oh my god, I feel so fat today? And it's like you don't actually. It's usually just because you're feeling something else, but your weight or your body's just the outlet for it.
Yeah, it's definitely, I totally get that. I mean, so I could say I'm feeling fat if I haven't exercised in 3 days. You know?
It's like, oh my gosh, you've gained loads of fat because you didn't go to the gym for 3 days. It's just ridiculous. It's just a thought process.
Yeah. So if you could describe what goes on kind of in like other people, what you think people mean by it when someone says I'm feeling fat, because I think we all have those feelings sometimes. And how, for me personally, it kind of relates to someone's state, right? So if you're feeling like, or if I say I feel like, I'm using an analogy, right? So if I feel like rubbish, I'm feeling fat or whatever, it probably means I haven't done certain things. Because in truth, you can't really feel fat in the space of 3 days.
So you'll feel... No. And I guess for me, where it came from that day, and everyone's feeling fat is different, but I was feeling quite overwhelmed anyway, and then I decided that was the best day for me to try on an old pair of jeans, and they felt tight, obviously, because I'm gaining weight. So I was like, oh god, I feel so fat today. And it's like, no. I then thought about it logically. I felt stressed that day. Of course I'm bigger. I've got bigger muscles now. Of course I've got fat on my body, but I don't think you could feel fat. It's usually because you're feeling something else. And the only way you can explain it or take it out on anything is usually your body. And we're taught to think that too. Like, how many times do you hear a woman say, I feel so fat today, and it's acceptable. It's like, oh, does she? Oh gosh. And the first thing you'll say is, but you're not fat. Like, you're validating what they're saying, which I would, if someone said that to me now, like my friend would say, I feel fat today, I'd be like, really? Like, no, do you not just think you're feeling something else? Like, maybe you're just a bit tired and you're just, and we all feel bloated, and that's totally different to feeling fat. I think we're just all led to believe that feeling fat is a thing, and it just doesn't exist to me. You're just led to feel guilty all the time about not doing something, or your body being this way, and feeling fat is a way of you saying, I'm actually just a bit annoyed or a bit peed off with something. So my jeans are tight, so I feel fat. Like, it doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think, what if you could flip it, right? So you can flip that thought every time it comes into someone's head, because people, whether it's right or wrong, people will still think it. Maybe they've been learned to think that. That's fine.
Yeah.
And I have similar thoughts. Maybe I
Yeah.
can't, if I look back, but what if you use that as an alarm clock to say, okay, that means I'm not doing something. How's my sleep going? How's my water
Yes.
intake? Am I eating nutritious foods?
Yes.
Because it's not about, it could be that rather than saying these bags of crisps have made, I now feel fat, it's like,
Yeah.
can you use this as an alarm clock to say, maybe they just don't make me feel good. Maybe
Yeah.
actually just feel better when I nourish my body and eat lots of whole foods and
Yeah.
I exercise more. It doesn't mean you feel fat, but it just might not mean you're doing things that make you feel good. Because we've all
That's so
been,
true.
yeah, like I can be more annoyed, be less patient, ratty with other people. You normally take it out on family as well. If
Yes.
I haven't slept, I haven't done things that make me feel good. And when you feel good, that no matter how hard I try, if I don't feel good, sorry, and no matter how hard I try, that will in some way trickle down.
Yeah, it does massively. And I think it's so, like, okay, I get it. It's really easy to say, I feel fat. And then you've stated something, you feel better because you've said it. And you've justified something that you've done. So whatever it is, not eating well for a couple of days, it happens. So if you say to yourself, I feel fat, you're punishing yourself. So hopefully that might activate you to make you feel better and eat better and feel skinny, which is even freaking worse. I even think that saying I feel so thin today is just as bad as saying I feel fat today. There's no like special, what you shouldn't be a good person because you're thin or you're fat. Do you see what I mean? And feeling fat, I think, is used as such a punishment to yourself. And like you said, if you can just recognize, okay, you feel unwell because you just ate more worse food than you would have done, or you didn't sleep well. But it's so easy to say I feel fat rather than really think, no, I just don't feel happy today. Like, it's just easy, right, to say it. And
Yeah.
even if I have that positive, like, oh my gosh, I feel so thin today, that doesn't make me a good person or a better person that day. It shouldn't make me happy. But if I made a good choice and I drank more water and I ate my veg and some fruit, then I should just be congratulating myself that I feel better today, not that I'm thin and a great person or fat and a bad person. It's just so, the more I say it, the more I say it to myself, like, and I do say it a lot because I am still going through a recovery process, and it is hard gaining weight while the whole of society is losing weight most of the time. I now stop myself and go, I don't feel fat. The truth is I am fatter, but that doesn't make me fat. Do you see what I mean? And I know that's hard to understand. Like, when you're losing fat, of course you've got less fat on your body, but that doesn't make you better or a better person. It makes you maybe a healthier and fitter person. So it's just that whole like mindset around body and punishment.
It's how much emphasis of self-worth we put on.
Yes.
When people could be very talented in all sorts of areas, but body image seems to have this kind of thing around it, which can actually be a real downer on people's and other areas of people's life. Like, it's not actually the thing, but it's actually their thoughts about the thing. And I think when we actually
Yeah.
go into looking at, if someone says, I feel fat, what they're essentially doing is focusing on what they think they don't want, or how they don't
Yeah.
want to feel. And
Yeah.
whether they're right or wrong, or whether it's a good thought or a bad thought, it's not really helpful, because
Yeah.
you're focusing on what you don't want. And when you focus on what you don't want, you'll probably get more of that. Rather, what can I do today? What could I possibly do today to make myself
Yeah.
feel better? If you
Yeah.
use that feeling, every time you feel that feeling, as a, what could I do today to make myself feel better? That's empowering, whether that's exercise, whether that's getting stronger, focus on being fitter,
Yeah.
food that makes you
Absolutely.
feel good, even if that is something that isn't necessarily healthy, because not everything you
Yeah.
eat has to be quote unquote healthy. It can just
Exactly.
be that you want it. For example, we've done a bit of baking over the past few weeks. There has been some times where I've gone in the bowl. Shh, that's not
That's me
healthy.
now.
Yeah.
That's
So
lush though.
yeah. So like there is times where you just do that, and that's fine. If I deprived my kids of being able to lick a cake bowl, I feel they wouldn't
Yeah.
have had a good upbringing.
Yeah, that's so true. I think it's like, it's just understanding that yeah, there's being unhealthy and maybe having bone and joint issues, because you do need to lose some weight. It's not all about fat, it can be weight, water, whatever that is. It's just like accepting that it's such a long process, that you will have days where you feel something, and that might be a day where you can fit into those smaller jeans after years, and that is amazing, but that doesn't make you a good or bad person. That just makes you um happy that you're on part of the journey that you're aiming to be on, if you see what I mean. Like, my goal was to gain weight, so I tried to turn that into a positive goal. Like, to survive, I have to gain this weight. If I don't, I will die. So I remind myself when I try clothes on that are too small for me now, that this is a positive journey. Okay, I'm not fat. Even if I feel fat, maybe I just feel upset, and that doesn't make me a bad person. Like, I'm on the right journey. Like, people losing weight are on the right journey for whatever reason that is. Yeah, I'm waffling, but
I
the
don't,
feet.
because I think when it comes to, like, obviously my background having an eating disorder,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I see certain tendencies of, and look, if you look now at like how they define eating disorders, things like binge eating disorder, and we'll kind of gear off into that now.
Yeah.
And the documentary the other day about exercising your meal off in a restaurant, and it
Yeah.
kind of demeans food as literally calories that you need to burn off. And don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, like, fat loss is a calorie deficit thing. Eat more,
Absolutely.
move less, move more, eat less, etc. That is
Yeah.
essentially the science, but the doing it is another thing altogether. You've got your relationship with food, relationship with exercise, and actually something that was really important for me in actually recovering from that, developing a more positive relationship with food, was actually focusing on what your body can do, and actually focusing on health
Yeah.
first, like with resistance exercise, getting stronger, getting fitter. And I see it with some of the
Yeah.
ladies now who mention, is like Linda, one of the ladies who you know as well, about her doing like a jump for the first time, being able
I
to
know, that was
walk.
amazing.
Yeah, and right, and good or not, she can now change granddaughter's nappies, which may backfire.
Amazing.
But
Maybe that's a bad thing on my
yeah,
behalf.
yeah, your job. But all these things that are really empowering. And actually, when you focus on them, when you focus on getting stronger, fitter, you sometimes feel better. Then you end up perhaps wanting to give yourself the things that make you feel better. Da, 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 da. Now, sometimes, don't get me wrong, you have to get into more of the nutrition side of things.
Of
Sometimes
course.
it can be just as simple as you think you're eating healthy, but what's
Yeah.
healthy for you might be vegan, carnivore, I don't know, not eating after 6 p.m., no carbs, no
Yeah.
mayonnaise, no eggs, no bacon, whatever. Everyone has their own definition of what eating healthily is. So sometimes it just takes a conversation of going over our beliefs about food, what's good, what's
True.
bad, to kind of go through that. And I think with a lot of diets out there, it is almost like another part of this is, let's see how much rubbish we can eat for the least amount of points or whatever sins.
Correct.
And it's kind of coming at the wrong angle. It's kind of taking it away from, I can't have that, so I will try and have that kind of thing.
Correct.
But I've waffled now. If we kind of get into that documentary, like, and it kind of touched on what I said there. So
Yes.
the restaurant where they kind of looked at what people were eating, then they made the people next door burn off the calories. Now, on one hand, this is very kind of educational to see just how many calories are in things. So, because on one hand, I don't think people realize how much calories is in, like, how many calories are in, like, a slice of pizza. Like, some people would say, I don't know, a slice of pizza might be 300, but actually, some might be up to 1,000, depending on what you got on it, how big the slice is. So on one hand, you got that. On the other hand, like I said, it's demeaning that exercise to literally burning off calories and forgetting the blood pressure, immune system, your blood sugar levels, your ability to do things, your joints, healthy aging, being independent, getting up and down off the floor. Like, it's kind of, and all these things are so important. But until now, I would say until this pandemic, a lot of people, most of the things we just focused on weight loss quite a lot. But I think now people are starting to go, wow, I don't know if you saw the Sport England survey the other day.
No.
65%.
Oh, I did. Yes, that was so interesting. I mean, I'm not surprised because I've never seen so many people running, like, literally in my whole life. But
so 65% of people saying that it's been beneficial for their mental health, exercise.
Yeah,
and that
it's amazing.
2% they would carry on. So so what's your views on that documentary? Anything you want to kind of add to that?
Well, there's two things for me. Now, I didn't actually watch it, but obviously I'm in the eating disorder community, so I knew about it and I educated myself. So I read a little bit about what it was about. And I can see the science behind it in, like, trying to show how the body metabolizes food and burns calories and all that. You know, that's actually quite interesting.
Yeah.
What got me was the punishment of yourself and creating a neural pathway to believe that you have to burn off what you eat, which is just exactly what got me into trouble in the first place. I punished myself with exercise. I only ever moved my body for an extremely negative reason, not because it felt good or anything. So of course, I'm going to be sensitive to that. Now, there will be people at home that have no idea about calories and food and exercise. It will be like, wow, that's amazing. They're not going to act on it necessarily, but then you've got people like us, you know, you've got a history, and people like some of your ladies who are just learning about exercise and nutrition, who will look at that and think, oh my God, I need to, like, burn off what I'm eating at lunchtime. And everybody is different. We all burn calories at different rates. Our resting metabolisms are different. Our ability to burn food when we're eating is different. So to compare all those people was just so unscientific. It was just, like, mind-blowing. Just, you know, and I'm not going to demonize the fact that exercise to burn off food is bad, because a lot of people do exercise to create a calorie deficit to help them lose weight, and I get that, but you should then exercise and look at food as totally different things. Are you eating well and healthy? Yes. Are you exercising because it feels good? Okay, it hurts sometimes, but because you're, like you say, able to get off the floor again, or bend down to, you know, pick something up. They should be two very separate things. And that's why I worked with you at first when I was recovering, because you never used my exercise as a way of burning off my food. You always treated them, exercise for strength and flexibility and improving, and food for fueling and getting stronger. And that's always stuck with me. And I just think that documentary went exactly against that. So I won't be watching it. I don't really see the point in it. And it's just disappointing, because there will be people out there going through eating disorder recovery that will just find that awful to watch. So yeah, it was just insensitive, really.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I think, you're right about, if you see them as separate, I always say that in terms of fat loss or fat gain, whatever way you're looking at it, the nutrition is going to be key there.
Yeah, now, absolutely.
Creating that calorie deficit, then exercise though is the multiplier, if you like. So you can multiply results and change your body shape, help you keep it off longer term, bone density, being able to say yes to things, all these to more things you want to do, like, I don't know, jogging, running. People are actually starting to do things. They might even find that through resistance exercise, through kind of certain strength exercises, they're actually able to jog or walk for longer, go up those hills without being as breathless. When they thought maybe I need to do more cardio, but actually sometimes it's strengthening the muscles around and actually getting that strength in there to do that. And
massively. And I know that people, like, I'm massive into cardio, and we joke about that. I'm cardio Katie, but I've only been able to do this because I built the muscle before. So I worked hard on building muscle to allow me to be able to move my body like I do. So that, and I then eat and fuel my body for that growth and development. So I listen to what my body wants. Is it lots of protein one day? Yes. Is it lots of carbs one day because I've been doing cardio? Yes. Like, and I realize for some people that's hard because they're still learning to eat, and a calorie deficit is never easy, but you make it much easier than calling food sins and again putting food on a pedestal, when actually it's just realizing that fueling your body is actually quite straightforward. People just overcomplicate it.
Yeah, and I think if we were to give some like simple go-to things, it is literally, you don't have to count everything. If I was to give some kind of subconscious ways to enjoy your food but still subtly create a calorie deficit, I would definitely say aim to eat 5 different vegetables today. And aim to have protein at every meal today. And that will roughly guide in terms of a physiological need to snack, etc. You're hitting what your body actually wants in terms of nutrition. You might feel a bit better. Then get some kind of exercise, whether it's 3 minutes. Even if it's 3 minutes, give yourself time to stop after 3 minutes. Try it, see how you feel. If you feel good, do another 3 minutes. See how you get on. Worst case, you did 3 minutes. Then do something fun for you. Because quite often, boredom eating, especially at this time, is going to be a key thing. Boredom eating is probably the biggest thing I've come across over the last 5 weeks or however long it's been. And I think the key thing here is actually asking, what am I actually looking for when I boredom eat? Something to do, something that tastes good, maybe something that feels a bit good. You can replicate quite a lot of those benefits without getting the millions of drawbacks that boredom eating cause. Sometimes people boredom eat and they feel rubbish. They kind of makes them feel a bit even lower on energy because your blood sugar spikes up and down. So actually doing something for you and actually going back to our initial chat, feeling fat. Maybe we're just tired and we haven't done something good for us. And actually we just need to go and do something for us, whether that's having a nap. Like, I love naps. I literally nap every day.
I love it.
The only thing around naps is really interesting. A lot of ladies say, I just feel guilty about doing it. And I'm like, what, you or someone else? And it's like, well, sometimes people in their household go, you having a nap? That's a bit lazy. And I said, this is how you make it legit. This is how you make it legit. You say, I'm going to do yoga or I'm going to meditate. You'll get no one say, you're going to meditate. You say meditate. Oh, fair enough. Or I'm going to do yoga in my room. What are you doing? I'm doing yoga. I'm just doing the meditation bit. Yeah, you say you're going for a nap. There's like a stigma around it. It's really interesting.
I know. Well, our society deems sleep as a weakness, don't they? So we're all forced to stay awake as long as we can. So that's a shame. I will just say something on boredom eating, if that's okay, because I've actually experienced it myself over maybe just like the last week. And again, hormone levels are probably a bit off, so I'm a bit more snacky or whatever. And I think what I have found is that I will probably, this is going to be obvious, I know, I probably look to snack more when I haven't eaten enough at my previous meal. Now, eating a lot of food at once is still quite hard for me. I don't like that full bloated feeling. It freaks me out. So sometimes I will just undereat at a meal, and then 2 hours later I'm snacky, bored, like a bit thirsty or whatever. So under your guidance, of course, it's eating enough at that previous meal, and it's usually lack of protein for me. So and if I increase my protein at my meal, the boredom snacking is just gone because I'm just not hungry or snacky. I'm bored, but I won't look to food. It'll be like, oh well, I'll watch a YouTube video or I'll read something. So that's just my advice. It's just eating enough, and being in your calorie deficit if that's your goal, but just make sure you you feel full, you know, that 80% full.
Yeah, it's so true, because I think sometimes we go in so hard, then it's like we're starving a few hours later. And for example, let's take a real example that I get quite a lot. So someone might say, I've cut out potatoes, which is fine, you can do that. But say they're used to having it, they've cut it out and not really replaced it with anything.
Yes.
2 hours later, they're hungry. Now, a potato in itself might be about 150 calories.
Yeah.
2 hours later, they're then a bit hungry. 1 bag of crisps, 100 calories. 200 calories.
Some chocolate, yeah.
Yeah, before you know it, they've actually had 400 calories. Now, you could have just had maybe 300 calories at that meal extra to offset the snack later.
Yeah.
You know yourself with this, and it's a very interesting
also one. It's massively habit forming. So our bodies love habit and routine. So if you've had that habit and routine for so long, breaking it will be hard. That's why your body will always force you to do what it's used to doing.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's so true.
if I leave the fruit bowl out in the kitchen, the babies will go through the whole fruit bowl.
Yeah, exactly. It's in their sight, isn't it?
Sometimes I find a pear in my shoe, but I eat most of it. Half-eaten pear, and I look at it and go, if I wash and eat that, is that okay? No, I don't know how to do that. No, I don't. You're
like, there you go, Jen. There's some
fruit. But the difference is amazing, that how much fruit they'll eat when it's there. If there's cake there, they'll go and get it. Whatever I put there, they'll go and get it. It's interesting.
Yeah, and sometimes you just I know this is a weird thing for someone recovering to say, but sometimes it is okay just to feel a bit hungry. Like really get in tune with it's taken me a long time to get hunger cues back, but just get in tune with your belly rumbling and thinking, it's fine. I don't need to feel anxious about this. I'm going to have my supper in like half an hour. I can wait. And I think that's just a really healthy way to think, and just get in tune with yourself. So just like you always say, question if I always think, is it belly hunger or is it head hunger? Like, and sometimes you are just head hungry and you've got to have whatever it might be at the time, but just allowing yourself to be a bit hungry before your meal shouldn't be stressful. You know, food is coming, don't worry. That's what I always think.
Yeah, no, it's true, because a lot of stress is actually caused when people maybe snack when dinner is about to happen. Then annoy themselves because they're not hungry for dinner, and perhaps then they don't even bother cooking, and they just make something that they don't really not bothered about, doesn't excite them, and all of a sudden they're like, you know what, I could have made that lovely lasagna or whatever they had planned. Because they snacked, they just went, you know what, we're just gonna have beans on toast, whatever it is. That really actually kind of have an impact on, you know, how people feel, because, you know, there's definitely people want to feed.
Well, there's a guilt. You're then guilty then, aren't you? You feel guilty because you're like, oh, I shouldn't have snacked. But, you know, it's just like, I don't know. We're all sort of led to believe that we have to, like, food is a reward and makes us feel happy. And food is just fuel. And I know that's so hard for people to comprehend, because it does make you feel good. And when you're with your family and you're all eating, you feel amazing. But it's not the food making you feel amazing. It's the company and the environment. And don't put food on this pedestal of good and bad and feeling good and bad. It's just fuel for you to move your amazing body in the way that it should. So, and that's such a hard process, you know, thought to break. I know that myself. But the minute I looked at food as fuel, you then really just eat to fuel exactly what you need to do. And sometimes that is freaking chocolate or whatever that might be. So
it's magnesium.
It's never that.
Dark chocolate. Perfect. So
dark chocolate. Sorry, dark chocolate is my weakness.
Cool. So I think we've covered a lot there. Anything else you want to?
Yes.
I think there's been some good points.
No, I just want everyone to sort of know that when you feel fat, you're not alone, and you don't feel fat. You just feel something else, and you're taking it out on your body. And trust in what you're doing, and be patient. Oh my God, it's taken me like 18 months to even get to this point. So imagine what it's like losing weight. So be patient, right?
Yeah, be patient and actually enjoy the process, because
yes, sir.
I've got to get to the end line tomorrow. Because actually that's the issue, right? If you there's no happy ending to an unhappy
Yes.
journey, if you like. So
There's
you've got to enjoy the
no
process.
like
Yeah.
there's no like 90-day fix for anything. Like that doesn't freaking work. It's a long-term process. And I think if you stop putting that pressure of a timeline on stuff, you'll just know that you're gonna go like this, like that, and down and up, and that's all part of it.
And I think adding in the habits when it's your time. So for example,
yes.
one of the ladies wrote a review the other day actually, and it's really good seeing, she said, 2 stone down, 10 centimeters down, but
wow,
it didn't feel hard. But then she put at the bottom, it was really good at the help that everyone gave me, the support. And then I realized that I did actually climb a mountain, if you like. So what she changed loads, but it was so gradual, it was doable. And I think it's important to change the habits when you're ready. So for example, if someone says, oh yeah, I don't eat that many, I don't snack that much, someone might go, what the, you don't snack that much. But actually it might be that when they change their nutrition after a few weeks or so, or after a few months, I don't know, they start to eat more different foods, get more nutrition in, be it protein, be it veg, whatever. Suddenly they're actually like, yeah, I don't need that snack.
Yeah, and it's all to do with habit. Your brain is so smart. The minute you introduce the habit and you keep at it, it will remember it and it will like it and it will love it. So habits are massive.
Yeah, perfect.
And they're hard, aren't they? Otherwise everyone would do them.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just, you will have days where you don't do it, where it doesn't work.
Yes.
The faster you can shorten that gap between just getting back on with it rather than dwelling on what you didn't do.
I always look at it, I must end on this. I always look at it as a ski slope. So you've got these really well drawn lines that you've been skiing down for years, and it's easy, and you're going down it and you're going down it. And then all of a sudden you've just got to start to make this new path with some new skis. And it's really hard. And you're like, oh my God, why am I doing this? And then that becomes normal and easy. And that like shift in my brain really helps when I'm really struggling to eat in my, to do with me, then I'll think, no, I'm making this new pathway. This is the point. So it's just a stupid analogy that works for me, but
no, I like it.
I've never actually been skiing either.
Nor have I. But I imagine the analogy working. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for having me.
It's on my list.
I want to go skiing. That sounds. I know. I want to go skiing.
Perfect. Brilliant.
Okay.
Well, thanks for that. If anyone has any questions at all about that, or just feel free to comment or send a message. This will be on Facebook and the podcast. So perfect. Brilliant.
Okay, have a great day. Thanks for having me, Matt.
Yeah, you too. Take care. See you later.
Take care. Bye. Bye.